Hello. The last little bit of the sig fig that we're getting through today is how to round to a certain number of sig figs, which is no big deal. You find the sig fig that's furthest to the left. You count however many you were supposed to keep. If you're supposed to count, if you're supposed to round to four sig figs, count over four numbers, and then round like normal. If your number is 0 to the 4, if it's to the right of that, if that number to the right is 0 to the 4, round down to a 0. And if the number to the right of that number is 5 through 9, you round up just like normal. Okay, so 52.38. Let's round that to 4 sig figs. So 5 is my leftmost sig fig. I want to count over 3 because I want to keep 3. So that means I'm at the 3. That's the number to the right is an 8, which means I'm going to round up. So 5 to 0.4. Okay. So 52.4 would be what we put. Now, not 52.40 because that would be 4 sig figs, so just 52.4. If I want to round that to 2 sig figs, let me erase. I'd start at the 5, and okay, so count over 2 sig figs, so it brings me to the 2. Now, to the right of my 2 is a 3, so I'm going to round down, so that's just going to be 52. Not 52.0, 52. Now that's got 2 sig figs. Now let's say I want to round that to 1 sig fig. So I'm at the 5, so the 2 to the right of that, so that means I'm going to round down, so I'm just going to stay at 5. Okay. Now, if I round 52.38 to 5, I have technically rounded to 1 sig fig, but that's not correct. Okay. You don't round 52 point something and get 5, you get 50. So, and not 50.0 or not 50.00, just 50. Remember that 0 to the right of the 5 is not a sig fig because it doesn't obey right rule. Okay, so 49.456. So let's see. So we're going to round to 3 sig figs. So we're going to round off, we're going to get rid of the 6 on the right. So that'd be 49.6. 49.6. Okay, so now let's round that to 50, and we're going to get 50. So we're going to round that to 2 sig figs and get 50. Now we messed something up though. Okay, how many sig figs does 50 have? It's just got 1. So I wanted to round that to be 50 and have 2 sig figs. Well, what can I do to that 0 to make it a sig fig? Put a line over it. So now I've got 2 sig figs. Erase this. And now around 49.56, so I'm going to round that to 1 sig fig, and we're going to get just 50, and that's 50. And that'll be my one sig fig if I round that to 1 sig fig. Okay. Let me pause. Okay, let's round this number to 4 sig figs. So first off, the 3 zeros that come in front of the 7 are not sig figs. They're just placeholders. It's not to say they're not important, but they're not significant figures. So we can't leave them off, but we can't, they don't count as sig figs. So we're going to round this to 4 sig figs. So I start at my 7 and I go 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to round off that 8. You know, since it's an 8, I'm going to round that 0 up to 1. I'm going to get 0.0. 0, this marker stinks, 0, 7, 0, 0, 1. Okay, so and there's a decimal place, there we go. So 0.007001. Okay, now I'm going to round this to 3 sig figs. In order to do that, all I have to do is get rid of the 1, and now I've rounded it to 3 sig figs. And now, in order to round this to 2 sig figs, now again, this has got 3 sig figs. These zeros are significant due to the right rule. And they are significant. I don't need a line over them. It's not wrong if you put a line over them, but it's righter not to have the line. Round this to 2 sig figs. Get rid of that 0. Round this to 1 sig fig. Get rid of that 0. And that's how you would round that to those number of sig figs. So the next question, let's see, 50,095. Let's see, erase what we got on here. So we want to round this to 4 sig figs. So first off, those 2 zeros in the middle are significant because of the sandwich rule. So we're going to round this to 4 sig figs. So that means we need to round off that 5, and we're going to round up. Now, since it's a 9, that's going to round up too. So I'm going to get 50100. So that's me having properly rounded that, except I forgot about sig figs. How many sig figs do I have? Right now I've got 3 sig figs, and I was supposed to round that to 4 sig figs. Do not put a decimal place and then put a 0, because that'll give you 6 sig figs. Okay, don't do that. What we want to do is put a line over that 0 right there, and that would give us 4 sig figs. Okay. All right. Now, if we're going to round to 3 sig figs, all we have to do is get rid of that line. Okay, get rid of that line, and now we've got 50,100, and that's got 3 sig figs. If I want to round this to 2 sig figs, 50,000. Okay, I round off the 95, and I got 50,000. Now again, I don't have 2 sig figs right now. I've got 1 sig fig. So how do I fix that? Don't put a decimal place. Put a line over that 0. Okay, and then for 1 sig fig would just be 50,000. Just be 50,000, and that is the bit